This is Rhea, and this is Just the Who of Us, where we talk about a range of topics including life events, current events, spirituality, entertainment, family relationships, as well as answering listener questions and more. This week is going to be just kind of a compilation of my mini episodes that are on YouTube. For those of you who are listening on a platform via Podbean or Spotify, Apple, anything like that, for those of you who haven't caught up on YouTube or don't access our show on YouTube, this week's is just a compilation of those audios, and I hope you enjoy. With this month being Pride Month, also being Father's Day in this month, as well as Juneteenth, there are a few things going on, and they all have priority. And, we know that sometimes making regular, normal, everyday things priority in our life is difficult. Even though also not everyone celebrates all these events or months. Maybe it doesn't pertain to you, which is perfectly fine, as long as you're not holding against others or offending or being negative to others because it does pertain to them. It's totally fine if something doesn't pertain to you. There's things that don't pertain to me that I don't involve myself in. I don't down people who do involve themselves in it, however. So I just want to kind of make that clear. But how do you prioritize? How do you prioritize celebrations, events, things that may be even difficult for you? Father's Day was difficult for me. Mother's Day is difficult for my husband. There's Father's Day is difficult for my ex-husband. For my daughter, there's things that are difficult. How do you prioritize in a healthy way, or maybe not even prioritize? How do you prioritize your mental health when you're dealing with things that are difficult, but that you can't really escape? They do pertain to you, and they are difficult to navigate, or they don't pertain to you, but you want to be respectful of those they pertain to. How do you navigate? How do you navigate those things? I will also be sharing later how you can navigate those things, but I'm curious to know first how you all navigate those things. I wanted to bring you a quick little how can I. So one of the, issues, so to say, is people, sometimes we don't know what we can do. What can I do to actually respect or not disrespect someone who's different from me? And the number one way is to educate yourself. Educate yourself on the person's difference and not through the internet. Interact with people, educate yourself on their differences, learn about the person that's different from you, what thing is that makes them different. Most of the time, we don't understand something because we don't know. We aren't informed or educated on it. So, how to respect someone who is different from you? First and foremost, educate yourself on that difference. How to respect people who are different from us in honor of Pride Month. The first way that we can do that is to accept the fact that we are different from one another. Accept the fact that there are people who are different. No two people that are a set of twins aren't even the exact same person. So people are going to have differences, and it's important for us to accept that. The first step is to accept the fact that we are different from that person, or they are different from us. The second is to learn to listen. Learn about that person. I stated in a reel recently that a lot of times people are afraid of things they don't understand. And so we treat people different because we don't understand that difference. And learn about the person who is different. Learn about what makes them different. And not from the internet. Like actually learn from that person.
We look really creepy because we're just like staring.
And my eyes
Your
are
eyes are
dark.
like super black.
I know.
We
And
look
my eyes look
creepy.
kind of closed.
We need a
Okay.
better lighting.
Okay, I'll talk like this so you can see my eyes better. Anyway, don't make fun of people because they're different. I feel like as an adult, that should be an obvious thing. And be considerate. Be considerate of differences.
Oh, well.
Okay, what are some examples like that you've
Wait.
experienced in school?
Wait, I want to say something. I feel like it's easier to like judge somebody because like we have our own insecurities and like if it's like something that we want to change about ourselves and we see other people like doing that or acting like that or whatever, then we just what is it called?
Yes, I agree.
Then we
I agree
what
so
is it
much.
called? What is it called? Like we
Assume.
like we like put our insecurities on them.
Deflect.
We deflect our
Or
insecurities.
yeah, deflect. Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. That's one reason that I point out like the fear of the unknown, right? Like I feel like and adults do this too. There are people who are in their 50s, 60s that I know do this. It's fearing what you don't understand. And I don't mean fear as like, oh, I'm scared of this. Like, I mean intellectual fear as like, well, that's gross because I don't get it. You know, or like that's wrong because I don't understand it. And I think it happens all too commonly where people judge people because they don't understand the person. Or, you know, religion plays a big part. Sometimes people are like, well, that's against my religion, so it's wrong.
Mhm.
And you know, it is what it is. If that's what you believe, but that doesn't mean that you have to treat the person badly because they don't agree with what you believe.
Mhm.
Just like I don't eat beef with pork. Well, I haven't disowned you because you eat beef. Like, okay, that's my choice. That's, you know, whatever. I believe that it's bad for our bodies, our digestion, and things like that. But if you're eating beef and you don't have stomach problems, cool. In some way, you know, that's just a more like surface example, but it goes a lot deeper than just what people choose to eat and whatnot, you know, lifestyle. So it's Pride Month, and a lot of our focus of topic is on that. And we're also going into independence. So we're going into the 4th of July coming up soon. We're going into Independence Day. And although the point of Independence Day, July 4th, isn't independence as people in a sense of lifestyles, but it coincides together because there's an independence in people being able to be different and be accepted, although we have differences. It makes you not feel left out. It makes you not feel, you know, kind of put off to the side. It can give you having that quote unquote difference can give you that independence as well to be the individual that you proudly should be. I feel like if you're not harming anyone, and I mean you're not molesting anyone, you're not sexually assaulting anyone, you're not, you know, physically hurting people by the things that you're doing to their bodies, you're not destroying your own body with alcohol or drugs, or you know, like if you're not destroying yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, or someone else, who the hell cares? Like who you love, or you know, you're not loving a kid. So in my book, as long as that person consents consensually allows you to care about them, great. That's just my opinion. And maybe that's because, you know, I'm married to a man, but I've had involvement with women. I don't know that I'd marry a woman just because then like we gotta share a bathroom and like both have stuff in the way and have female hormones and all that. I'm just impatient. So that's that. And I have three daughters in the house. So I've already lived with plenty of women. Um, you know, but on a serious note, like maybe it's because I am more open-minded about things because I have had certain experiences, but I feel like even if I also learn from experience because when I when I had that fear of the unknown, when I was in my early 20s, I used to judge people who were different than me. Um, there's things in my book that I talk about. I I was waiting tables one day, two women came in together, and I was like, nah, you can take this table because I don't like that. And the person that I tried to pass the table off to, she happened to be a lesbian. And she was like, okay, what's the problem? Why don't you want to serve these customers? And I was like, I don't like that. I had been taught that was disgusting. I had no personal experience. And I later went on to have certain experiences with the person that I tried to pass off people to. Um, you know, she and I became really good friends and whatever, but like it's the fear of the unknown. I've done it myself before I knew better. I didn't grow up being taught acceptance and everything necessarily. So I grew up taught, well, this religion says this, and then that's what it is, and it's growth. So a lot of times it's not really until we kind of step out and start learning things on our own that we're like, oh, it doesn't have to be this way. I don't have to be hateful toward people just because we have differences. So do you have any kind of like experience like that in life where you were kind of judgmental about something and then you kind of realized like, oh, once you kind of learn a little bit more about it?
Not really. It's like that thing with Tay Tay where she was like, she thought I was like when she thought I was like making fun of my music taste.
Okay,
But
gotcha.
then I kind of started listening to some of her music. But it was like because I didn't really understand it, I guess. But now it's kind of funny because like later on I kind of like listen to the same music.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful example because it doesn't just have to be about like sexuality or lifestyle or something like that. It can be something that simple. It can be, oh, you listen to devil worshiping music because it's like rock or something. No, there's Christian rock too. Like it's not just because it's rock, it's devil music or you know what I mean? Like that I think that's a wonderful example.
Mhm.
So it was that you started learning about it, you listened to a little bit yourself, you realize, oh, this preconceived judgment I had was actually wrong. It wasn't what I thought it was.
Mhm.
I think that's really profound for someone who's only 14. And this was before you were 14. But, someone who's a very young teenager to kind of come to that realization like, oh, I made a mistake because I misjudged something. I'm gonna actually learn about it. I think that's really good. Somebody taught you to be really wise.
My father.
Oh,
Just kidding.
he's a wise man too. He does teach you wise things. Someone recently asked me about the four pillars of mental health and well-being. Now, I wanted to kind of briefly go over those things with you guys. These four are generally mental, physical, social, and spiritual. Of course, our physical, biologically physical pillar, our biologically physical component. And I want to stress to say our biologically physical because it is important. It's important to, obviously try to reach everyone, as many people as I can, but I want to be respectful of everyone as well. So not everyone necessarily has the same physical components that they were biologically created with. So I want to make sure that for purposes of well-being and health catering, specify that this pillar generally speaks to your biological physical. If you're wondering why that might be important, is because we have different biological hormones, different biological growths. And even when we change those, we still have the same genetic biology. So sometimes we have to kind of cater to that component. It's no different than someone having work done. And even though you didn't have this component of your physique before, it is there now. It's important to make sure we're catering to what we need to cater to have results. Exercise and movement are generally something we want to pay attention to when it comes to our physical health. Eating healthy, going outside, getting air, our sleep patterns, things like that. Anything that caters to your physical health, your insides, your biology, your hormones, your anything on the inside and outside of your body that is catering to the physical pillar of your health. The second, then we have mental. Mental is our psychological component. Anything to do with our mentally affected emotions, our mentality, our mental well-being that affects the emotions that affect the chemicals in our body. Journaling, having healthy conversations, taking breaks from social media and the computer and things like that. Self-help books, self-help services. So life coaching, for example, therapy, something that you have interaction with someone who has education and life experience in the topic that you desire to discuss and focus on. The third pillar is your social well-being. There are some people who prefer to be extremely social, like me. I'm a social person. I like to talk to people, obviously. And there are other people who are introverted and they don't like to talk to everybody. I have kids like this. They don't need to talk to everybody. They're not like me. They don't need to be talking and socializing all the time. They fill their battery. Perfectly fine, perfectly normal. Both sides are fine and they're normal and can be helped. However, we want to make sure that we are catering to that social component, whether it is that we need to be social or whether it is that we need to minimize our social explorations to minimize our social anxiety. In either extremity of the spectrum. If it's us and it pertains to us and it's part of our health, we need to cater to it. Spend a little more time around positive people. Spend a little less time around negative people. Spend a little less time around anxious, social, anxiety-inducing social situations, that kind of thing. Build supportive relationships. Find a mentor. Find a coach, something like that. Our spiritual component, pillar 4. This doesn't necessarily have to be a religious component. It can, if you are a religious person, cater to your religious aspect of yourself, but it doesn't have to be a religious component. It can be spiritual. That can be whatever it means to you. Connect with yourself spiritually as well. Who am I on the inside? Who am I outside of the mom? Someone asked me a question today, who am I? And, they were like, outside of mom, CEO, wife, et cetera, author, who actually are you? And it took me back a little bit, like, outside of those labels, I gotta think about this. So cater to who you are spiritually. Yeah. So I hope that those 4 pillars are helpful. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me at philology.net. Thanks for your time. I want to spend a little time talking about labels. outside of who we are as the labels we put on ourselves, I want to talk about labels on things that we are not fluently intelligent about. There are a lot of times where people, I don't like this certain type of person because blah, blah, blah. And most of the time it's because you don't actually know people who belong to the group of people that you don't like. So it can be, I don't like members of the LGBTQIA plus community. Most likely you haven't had a healthy interaction with someone who identifies as gay, lesbian. And so you don't actually understand that person. It's just a generalized fear or misunderstanding that you have that causes the creation of a label and a dislike of something. And I'm not here to bash anybody because of this. I just want to be straightforward and really kind of put it out there, put the topic out there because it is important. It's important for us as a society to stop taking our fears and our insecurities out on people that we don't actually know. Now, if you've had someone of a certain group do something harmful to you, I can understand your initial disgruntlement with that group of people, right? But let's be honest, most of the time, no one who is gay, lesbian, bi, queer, trans, no one in this group has actually done anything to you. The issue is that they just don't fit your norm. And what I want to say is educate yourself. I want to say, can we as a people agree to stop judging people because they don't fit our norm, because they are not in the same religion, because they don't live the same lifestyle? We can easily go to church and sit with a group of people who drink, who abuse alcohol, abuse drugs, abuse their children, abuse their spouse, et cetera, and fellowship with people who actually are doing harmful things, but yet go out into the world and mistreat people that are actually not doing anything harmful. They just live differently. It's a thing. It is something that should be addressed, and I am here to address it with love. I have no ill will toward people who haven't caused my family any harm, and no one's currently caused my family any harm. So I say this with the best of intentions and with the hopes that this will bring awareness, it will bring opportunity, and it'll bring potential growth between communities. To sometimes we just need things pointed out. And sometimes it just takes someone pointing out that you know, maybe even someone that you don't know, to say, oh, that there might really be some truth to that. It's okay, you're in your own home, no one's judging you, but you can have that realization to say, oh, that actually does pertain to me. And it's okay for me to acknowledge that I'm here by myself, not being judged. Maybe I should change that. You wouldn't want someone to do that to you. Or maybe you wouldn't care if somebody did that to you. Whatever. But it wouldn't be fair for someone to judge you just because of something that you didn't agree with. And it goes deeper than just this being my view. Well, this doesn't fit my religion. This doesn't fit my beliefs. And that's fine. We have beliefs, we have our religion, and that's fine as long as we're not using our religion to harm people mentally, physically, emotionally. Posting things on Facebook, bashing people for their sins, their lifestyle, and so on and so forth. That's harmful. I know people who do it. And I know that you are good people and you're not necessarily doing it to hurt people. You're just doing it to express your beliefs. However, the context that you use to do it is hurtful and it is harmful. And being the good people that I know you actually are, it's something that I did want to bring to attention in this short little episode or whatnot as well. So let's all just try to be a little bit more aware. Let's all just try to understand not everybody has the same religious beliefs. You wouldn't like someone who's Muslim bashing you for being a Christian. So kind of take that perspective and use it, to maybe change that perspective. You know what? It's not really fair for me to bash and harm people who are different than me. And I'm doing that in the name of religion. I'm doing that in the name of this belief or that belief. And most of the time, that's not actually what that belief even stands for, which is a whole other conversation. But let's work together to try to understand people more, to try to, peace, love, and harmony, whatnot. Be aware, practice a little more self-awareness with ourselves, and just try to do better. I just wanted to use this opportunity to bring a little bit of awareness. Like I said, just because people are different doesn't mean that they're bad or wrong. And it's deserving of the people who go out to the world and they put effort and they try to be good people. It's deserving for them to be loved and appreciated as well. Moral of the story, don't mistreat people just because they don't fit into your belief system or your upbringing or your personal perspective. Let's try to be a little more open-minded and not judge people by their differences because they're not necessarily flaws. We don't want to go to church and, we learn to not judge people for their flaws. It makes less sense to judge people for their differences than it does to judge them for their flaws. So let's take a little time. Let's learn to judge less and respect more. And that's my little Pride Month PSA, if you will. Thank you for listening.
If anyone has questions to ask, answer, or topics to discuss, you can leave that on our Facebook page, Just the Who of Us podcast, or email me directly, Rhea, REAHDR, at Falolity, FALOLITY.net. Visit falolity.net, that's FALOLITY.net, to order your own workbook copies, ask questions, get information, and more.